Good morning and welcome to the August 26, 2026 meeting of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. It is 9:31. I'm joined here by my colleagues, Katarina Gonzalez, who is online, and Tanya Miller, who is right next to me, our General Counsel, Mary Smith, and our Interim Public Interest Counsel, David Timberger. Well, Dave, this is your final agenda in your term as Interim Public Interest Counsel. I'd like to really thank you for stepping in and agreeing to this temporary assignment. You've done tremendous work. Your team loves you. Thank you so much. I know it's time for you to go back to your home. We couldn't convince you to stay a little longer because you have people that are depending on you, but thank you so much. Tanya, do you want to say something?
Just thank you, David, for all that you've done and for your willingness to serve in a new capacity. I know it's not what you have done for years for this agency, but you did it tremendously well, and we just really appreciate all your efforts.
You're muted, Katarina.
Can you hear me? Oh, it says the host has muted me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. No, I was saying, Dave, thank you so much. You've done such a great job, and we really appreciate all your hard work on this. And I know it was a very different role, but you stepped in and you did a fantastic job. So thank you.
Well said. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to announce that Eli Martinez will be taking the role of Interim Public Interest Counsel. Eli, I know you can do it. You've been with OPIC for quite some time. Your team loves you. We believe in you. Thank you for serving. Anything else?
Thank you, Eli, for agreeing to step up into this role. And like Chairwoman Pop said, you have significant experience with OPIC, and you know the challenges and the role very well. And I'm just grateful that you're willing to serve in this capacity. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you so much. We have some recognitions we're going to take care of before we start the meeting. Go down. Thank you. I feel like we're doing so. Woo. I feel like, nope. This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I feel like we're doing so many of these lately. Today we are honoring Leroy Biggers, the Regional Director of the Tyler office. He has served more than 5 decades, y'all, in public service for the state of Texas. He began his career with the Texas Department of Ag in 1976. I was not born in 1976, where he served for 13 years as the marketing specialist and regional director. He later spent 2 years with the Texas Attorney General as director of child support. Whew, if you can do that, you can do anything. In 1993, Leroy joined the Texas Natural Resources Conservation Commission, which became the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. He served as regional director of the Tyler Regional Office. Hi, Leroy. Providing leadership in its environmental protection, regulatory compliance, and public service throughout East Texas. In addition to his professional career, Leroy has deeply involved in public and community service. He served 12 years as the Chapel Hill Independent School District Board of Trustees, contributing to the education and success of local students. He also served 6 years as commissioner for the Smith County Emergency Services District, supporting emergency response and public safety initiatives. Leroy Biggers graduated from, I don't need to say your whole name every single time. No, I do not. Leroy graduated from Stephen F. Austin with a degree in business administration in 1975. Leroy and his wife, Gwen, have been blessed with 2 wonderful daughters and 3 grandchildren. He remains committed to serving the community through leadership and a lifelong dedication to public service. I can't think of a better resume for a true servant leader We thank you so much. Your Tyler office thinks so much of you, and we do too. To serve for 5 decades of the state of Texas, we were so lucky to have you for those five decades. Thank you. Thank you. Bill. You want to come over here? Want to come over here? Okay. Wow. Next up is Nicole Beal. Nicole has served over 4 decades of state service. Leroy had her beat for 10 years. She is a licensed professional geoscientist, a licensed professional sanitarian, and has multiple OCE senior investigator certificates. She started her career here in 1987 as a water quality investigator, and then the Texas Water Commission until 1992, when she shifted to a waste investigator. In 1995, Nicole became a team leader in Houston's region's waste section, and then served as section manager from 2005 to 2012. Nicole advanced to special assistant to the Houston Regional Director in 2012, assistant regional director in 2017, and regional director until in 2018 until right now. Prior to joining the agency, Nicole worked as an EKG surgical prep technician at Huntsville Memorial, a lab instructor of biology and geology labs at Sam Houston State University, and a biomedical information analyst on petroleum chemicals at an international petrochemical company. And then during some of her time of tenure with the agency, she was an adjunct professor, the Natural and Applied Sciences Department at the University of Houston in Clear Lake. Wow. She received her bachelor's degree of science in biology and geology from Sam Houston State in 1985, and she went on to receive her Master of Science in Biology from the University of Clear Lake in 1994. What a tremendous resume. And again, we were so very lucky to have you for 4 decades. I know your regional office will miss you. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Okay, last but not least, for everyone here at TCQ to know her is to love her, Keisha Townsend. Where are you? And can Kelly Keel please come up here too? Keisha Townsend began her TCEQ career in 2000 as a contractor in the central file room before becoming a full-time employee in 2001. She spent 10 years in the Air Permits Division in a variety of roles before moving to the Office of Permitting, Remediation, and Registration in 2011. In 2012, she transitioned to the Office of Air, where she served as executive assistant to 3 office directors over the years. And of course, Keisha, I was the best one. Until in March 2020, she was stolen from me by then Commissioner Lindley to be her office assistant in the Commissioner's office. Totally understand. She later joined the executive office as an executive assistant before moving to the Critical Infrastructure Division in September of 2024. In April 2025, she joined the Office of Compliance and Enforcement Administrative Team as an executive assistant. With more than 25 years of service to TCQ, supporting multiple program areas, offices, and executive leadership, Keisha brought extensive agency knowledge, experience, professionalism, and dedication throughout her career. But more importantly, Keisha brought the most wonderful hugs on the planet. And if you get a hug from Keisha, I can guarantee she ain't pulling away first. Thank you, Keisha, for all you've done for this agency.
Well done. Oh, yeah.
That thing.
Yeah, yeah.
She gets this wonderful plaque for 25 years.
All right, back to the business of this agenda. For each item that argument or discussion is allowed, we'll inform the parties in public of time limits for their discussion. Registration closed at 9:30, but if you wish to address the commission on a particular item, please visit our registration table in the front, or if you're in the webinar, email agenda@tceq.texas.gov, and we'll do our absolute best to accommodate that request. For those making presentations, please wait to begin your presentation until I or Mary have asked you to begin speaking, and please check to make sure your line is unmuted before proceeding. All right, Mary, first item.
Item number 1 is the consideration of the ALJ's proposal for decision and proposed order concerning the application by Ingleside Clean Ammonia Partners, LLC, for new air quality permit numbers 174275, PSD TX 1628, and GHG PSD TX 234. The parties have been notified that the applicant, the protestants collectively, the ED, and OPIC will each have 5 minutes of oral argument time. The applicant should speak first and may reserve a portion of its time for rebuttal as the applicant bears the burden of proof in this matter. So with that, we'll begin with the applicant. I believe we have Eric Groten here. Your mic may not be on. Yeah. There's
Better now? So anyway, good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Groten. I'm here today on behalf of Ingleside Clean Ammonia Partners, or ICAP. ICAP filed with you 3 years ago, or with the agency, an application to get permission to build a world-class ammonia manufacturing facility in the city of Ingleside, or at the outskirts, which is located on the Gulf Coast, just a little bit north of Corpus Christi Bay. So about a year ago, the executive director was prepared with her decision to issue the permit, but less prepared to see it issued was a group that's called Coastal Watch Association, which asked for a hearing for the opportunity to go find something wrong with the permit for the facility that it was objecting to. The ICAP actually agreed to allow that opportunity without fussing about it, in part because, or out of the hope that, out of a hearing would come a little bit more confidence in the community and the decisions of the commission, and also, frankly, a little bit of doubt that the commissioners would have denied them that opportunity had we opposed it. But in any event, Coastal Watch got its opportunity. It was direct referred over to the State Office of Administrative Hearings, at which point Coastal Watch had both the opportunity and obligation to, and here I'm just going to read from the statute to make sure I get it completely right, to demonstrate that one or more provisions in the draft permit violate a specifically applicable state or federal requirement. And then when they got over to SOA, they were given a lot of running room. Our ALJs, pretty much typical of the practice I've seen over there, gave Coastal Watch a lot of running room with the rules of evidence and rules of procedure. what did Coastal Watch do with that opportunity? It's probably best to illustrate. I mean, it was a short hearing, but a long record, and I'll just take a couple of examples. One from best available control technology related arguments that one of the components of the plant was a small auxiliary boiler that emits maybe 2 or 3 tons a year of NOx, and their backed expert, who's a name that's familiar to you, he's hired very regularly by protesting community to find problems with TCQ permits. The one he found here was he described the BACT for this small gas-fired boiler was actually to use basically an electric hot water heater, failing that or even with that, that there was also some obligation to go ahead and supply RECs or some ERCs or some other kind of emission credits to account for that. Their impacts expert, modeling expert fared no better. He had absolutely no experience in Texas, and you could tell, but that didn't prevent him from criticizing pretty much everything that the air dispersion modeling team has done regularly and for years here, and including, complaining, for example, about how the agency does its consideration of intermittent sources. He came up with some method he gave a fancy name to, but never any background on or any results of his work. But nonetheless, he called it the Monte Carlo method, which is just a statistical analysis technique. But that wasn't anything more than just, at least we never got anything from the Coastal Watch in terms of what work actually went into it. But somehow when he applied this magic method, it came up with exceedances of the NOx standards. It's not surprising from evidence like that the ALJs, I think, had very little difficulty concluding that Coastal Watch had not met its burden of demonstrating that one or more provisions in the draft permit violate a specifically applicable state or federal requirement. And indeed, in the exceptions that were filed to the PFD that issued, even then the Coastal Watch was denying really any obligation to make that showing. And then when that was pointed out to in our and the executive director's responses to those exceptions, that's what you're supposed to do here. Even then, the reply, well, actually, Coastal Watch filed no reply. I'd like to hope and believe that was because they've come to realize what I think all of us, most of the rest of us in this room realize, which is that your executive director and her staff do a damn fine job developing and drafting permits and making sure they meet all requirements. But unless the commission has any questions of me, I'll yield the microphone and we can find out if that's a possibility. If I could have 30 seconds at the end, come back. Thank you. Questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll hear from the protestants.
We're still on. Good morning. My name is Claire Goodwin, and I'm representing Coastal Watch Association. My client would like to request that the Commission set aside the proposal for decision for this permit because of the deficiencies in its BACT analysis and its air quality modeling. But first, I would just like to address why this permit matters to the members of Coastal Watch Association. So the members of Coastal Watch mostly live in Ingleside on the Bay and in Ingleside, along the North Shore of the Corpus Christi Bay. And this is an area that's really known for its fishing, its wildlife. It's surrounded by state parks and wildlife refuges, and it's also the winter habitat for the last surviving migratory flock of whooping cranes. The members of Coastal Watch Association, who I spoke with, told me that they really care about where they live because they love being outdoors and they love being part of a community of neighbors. They sit on their porch and look at the bay and drink their morning coffee. They fish and they boat and kayak in the bay. They like to garden and host gatherings outdoors.
We do need to keep the information that you're presenting to what is in the administrative record. Thank you.
All right. So the ammonia facility that this permit would authorize is just 1.5 miles from where all these community members live in Ingleside on the Bay, and it's only 1 to 3 miles upwind of Ingleside itself, including city parks and an elementary school. Many people I spoke with said that if this facility gets built, they may actually consider leaving Ingleside because they'd feel that the increase in pollution and the risk of an ammonia leak would become untenable for them. Applicant's air quality modeling contains multiple errors, each of which masks violations that would require a denial of the application. EPA's modeling regulations are designed to ensure that air quality modeling provides a representation of reality. Instead, applicant has constructed an imaginary world, conducting modeling based on imaginary conditions that support imaginary results. One significant error was applicant's choice to mismatch surface roughness data from the project site with wind profile data from the airport. This is contrary to EPA's requirement that meteorological data match the surface data from the same location. We ran a model using matching data and found that it resulted in violations of the NAAQS. This is because the algorithm that's used by the modeling program relies on the relationship between surface friction, which is caused by surface roughness, and the measured wind profile data to predict turbulence. As our expert witness, David Sullivan, a meteorologist with over 50 years of modeling experience using this exact modeling program, explained, more surface roughness equals lower wind speed. Wind speed at the project site would be lower than wind speed at the airport because the project site has more surface roughness than the airport. By using higher airport wind speeds paired with surface roughness at the project, applicant artificially increased the amount of turbulence, creating a model based on an imaginary super turbulent atmosphere. This underpredicts the concentration of pollutants, producing an outcome that is not only unreliable, but completely fictional. Applicant's 1-hour nitrogen dioxide air quality analysis is also based on fiction. To get a permit, applicant needed to demonstrate that even its highest hourly emissions are safe for the public. In its modeling, applicant averaged the NOx emissions of its intermittent sources across an entire year, even though these sources actually operate at much higher rates for much more limited numbers of hours. This approach does not accurately represent the facility's hourly NOx emissions for the short-term standard. For example, there is a source that is permitted to operate at 386 pounds an hour, but is assumed in their modeling to emit no more than 0.26 pounds an hour. This is more than 1,000 times less than the actual permitted emissions rates. Because the intermittent sources operate collectively for over 1,300 hours a year, this represents vast quantities of undercounted emissions, many of which could be operating at the same time. These fictional emissions rates are particularly harmful because the impact of these emissions is almost entirely concentrated in one area. The prevailing wind at the site almost always blows from the southeast, meaning the impacts of these NOx emissions are concentrated at Live Oak Park, Ingleside Primary School, and the surrounding area, just about a mile north of the facility. The applicant's air quality analysis is a classic example of garbage in, garbage out. Our modeling expert conducted the same modeling, substituting realistic parameters for the applicant's imaginary ones, and demonstrated that the project, as proposed, would cause violations of the NAAQS. Because of these deficiencies, Coastal Watch Association requests the Commission set aside the proposal for decision and require the applicant to conduct modeling that accurately represents reality. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, Ms. Goodwin, you have 30 additional seconds if you would like to use it.
I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise, no.
Anything? Nope. All parties have 30 additional seconds. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. We will hear from the Executive Director staff.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, General Counsel, and OPIC. My name is Contessa Gay, and my co-counsel is Ivan Naranjo. We are both with the Environmental Law Division and here representing the Executive Director. This authorization, if issued, will authorize Ingleside Clean Ammonia Partners to construct ammonia manufacturing, storage, and loading facilities. The Executive Director agrees with the ALJ's recommendation that the Commission should issue the permit to Ingleside Clean Ammonia Partners. The Executive Director maintains her position that the review of the application and draft permit met all applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. The Executive Director's staff performed the necessary review to ensure that the draft permit would meet all federal and state requirements and would be protective of both the environment, human health, and welfare. Thank you, and we are available for questions.
Thank you so much. We'll hear from OPIC.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Executive. That's awful. Executive Directors, Attorney, and staff. I'm Michael McCarthy with the Office of Public Interest Counsel. After careful review of the proposal for decision, the exceptions, replies, and evidentiary record, OPIC recommends that the Commission adopt the ALJ's proposal for decision and grant the permits as recommended. The issues referred to SOA concern the adequacy of the applicant's air quality modeling backed analyses, including PM 2.5 emissions, inventory, selection of the Dona Park background monitor, treatment of intermittent NOx sources, meteorological data, cooling tower backed, and whether the applicant was required to consider electrification of the auxiliary boiler. OPIC's review of the record supports the conclusion that the applicant met its burden in each of these cases, on each of these issues. With respect to the PM 2.5 analysis, OPIC concluded that the omission of certain OxyChem and Valero sources resulted from data retrieval limitations and did not undermine the reliability of the modeling, particularly in light of supplemental modeling. OPIC also concluded that the Dona Park monitor provided a conservative and representative measure of background conditions, that the use of average hourly emissions for intermittent NOx sources was an appropriate methodology, and that the meteorological inputs followed established TCEQ practice and were not independently inconsistent with EPA guidance. With respect to BACT, OPIC concluded that the proposed cooling tower controls satisfy BACT and that the applicant was not required to evaluate electrification of the auxiliary boiler because doing so would fundamentally change the source rather than constitute a control technology. These conclusions are consistent with the ALJ's findings in the PFD, and OPIC therefore respectfully recommends that the Commission adopt the proposal for decision. Thank you. I'm available for questions.
Thank you so much. Mr. Groten, you have 30 seconds.
I guess consistent with the fact that you were honoring other retirees here today, I'll let you know that this will probably be my last appearance before you after about a 40-year career in doing matters related to air permitting. I'd like to take the 30 seconds I have left to, as a moment of personal privilege, to relay a thought that's occurred a lot to me lately, which is that to the extent at all possible, commissioners and chairman, if you could...
That's time.
Go ahead.
If you could not routinely refer cases unless you are convinced that your executive director has made a particular mistake. I think we saw, that's not something that's required by law. It's you won't satisfy folks who, for their own reasons, won't be satisfied with a solid air permit. It won't improve on the executive director's decision, but it does add time and money to the process. So having shared those final thoughts, thank you and Godspeed all. Thanks.
Thank you so much for all your service. All right, colleagues, in my review of this matter, I find that the record supports the ALJ's determination that the applicant has met its burden in 6 contested issues, and the draft permit will meet all applicable legal and technical requirements. I agree with the ALJ, the ED, and OPIC that Coastal Watch Association did not rebut the prima facie demonstration on any contested issue. I'm prepared to adopt the ALJ's proposed order as modified with the ALJ's exceptions letter with some minor modifications. First, I propose that we remove the term maximum from the finding of fact 20 to align the description of the 20D method with the finding of fact 19 as supported by testimony in the record. Second, I propose that we revise finding of fact 36 and clarify that no party presented evidence that the applicant failed to adhere to an applicable state and regulatory requirements in its demonstration of compliance with the NO2, NAAQS, and to remove language not supported by the record that EPA guidance and TCEQ precedent are presumed inapplicable. Finally, I propose that we revise ordering provision number 1 to clarify the Commission's intent to issue the permit, including the greenhouse gas permit. Although consideration of the greenhouse gas permit was not part of the contested case hearing because such permits are not subject to contested case hearings, we are being asked to issue the permit along with the others. To that end, I'd also propose that we revise finding of fact 4 to clarify that the draft permit referenced throughout the order includes the greenhouse gas permit. Finally, I've reviewed the ED's response to comment and will propose we adopt that document. I'll stop here. Katerina?
I'm in agreement.
In agreement.
Excuse me, it's a long motion. I will make the motion. I move that we grant the application of Ingleside Clean Ammonia Partners, LLC, for permits number 174275 and PSD TX 1628 and issue the draft permit in the form recommended by the Executive Director. Adopt the Administrative Law Judge's proposed order as modified by the Administrative Law Judge's recommendation in their letter dated July 6, 2026, with the following additional modifications. A, to align the description of the 20D method with the finding of fact 19, and as supported by testimony in the record, remove the term maximum from finding of fact 20. B, to clarify, as noted in all the ALJ's PFD, that no party presented evidence that the applicant failed to adhere to the applicable state and regulatory requirements in its demonstration of compliance with the NO2 NACs, and remove a finding not supported by the record that EPA guidance and TCEQ precedent are presumed inapplicable. Replace finding of fact 36 so that it states no party presented evidence sufficient to rebut the presumption that the applicant's consideration of the on-site intermittent NOx sources demonstrated compliance with NO2 NACs. To clarify that the draft permit referenced throughout the orders refers to the draft permit for air quality permit numbers 174275, PSD TX 1628, and GHG PSD TX 234, revised the finding of fact 4 to state on August 26, 2024, the ED issued her final notice of application and preliminary decision in which the ED determined that the project met all applicable requirements, recommended issuance of the permit, and provided a draft permit for the air quality permit numbers 174275, PSD TX 1628, and GHG PSD TX 234. And finally, to clarify that the Commission's intent to issue the draft permits, revise the ordering provision number 1 to add, and the draft permits are issued in the form of the draft permit as recommended by the Executive Director, including the typographical error in special condition number 6A as noted by the Executive Director's response to comment, and adopt the Executive Director's response to comment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Really quickly, a clarification. I think you said a typographical error in special condition number 6A, and I think, should that be edit?
Oh, excuse me. Yes, it should be typographical edit in special condition number 6A noted in the Executive Director's response to comment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 The motion passes. All right, guys, let's move on to number 2.
Item number 2 is the consideration of the application by Concrete Mobility LLC for issuance of air quality standard permit for concrete batch plant, registration number 182932. The parties have been notified that the commissioners will not take oral argument but may ask questions, and those who have signed in will be noted for the record.
Good morning. This matter involves an application for a standard permit for a concrete batch plant in Mitchell County. When considering hearing requests for these types of applications, the Commission follows a 2-step analysis. First, we determine whether a hearing requester is an affected person. If there are affected hearing requesters, then we consider whether an affected person raised relevant and material issues that are referable to SOA. For concrete batch plant standard applications such as this one, the Texas Health and Safety Code expressly limits hearing requesters to only those persons actually residing in a permanent residence within 440 yards of the proposed plant may be considered as an affected person. Thus, 440 yards is the legal threshold distance to qualify as an affected person. The Commission received timely hearing requests in this matter from Kristen Brown. The backup materials demonstrate that Ms. Brown's residence does not meet the 440-yard threshold and that the Commission must deny the request for failing to establish effectiveness under the law. I'll stop here. Katarina?
Yes, after reviewing the hearing request and application, I would deny Kristen Brown's hearing request. She resides approximately 2.62 miles or 4,611 yards from the facility and therefore lives beyond that 440-yard statutory requirement in the Texas Health and Safety Code. So I would issue the draft permit as recommended by the ED.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller.
I agree.
All right, do you have a motion?
I move that we deny all hearing requests, issue air quality standard permit for concrete batch plant registration number 182932 to Concrete Mobility LLC as recommended by the executive director, and adopt the executive director's response to comments.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Motion passes. Let everyone shuffle.
Item number 3 is the consideration of the application by East Williamson County MUD number 1 for new TIPD's permit number WQ 0016351001. The parties have been notified that the commissioners will not take oral argument but may ask questions. Those who have signed in will be noted for the record.
All right, this item is for a new TIPD's permit to authorize the discharge of treated domestic wastewater at a daily average flow not to exceed 600,000 gallons per day in Williamson County. The commission received a timely hearing request from Jonah Water Special Utility District concerning this application. I'd like to stop here and see how my commissioners feel about moving forward on this item.
I personally think our consideration of this matter would benefit from a better understanding of the bankruptcy and ownership status. So I would propose continuing this item for additional briefing, but I'd be interested in everyone else's thoughts on that.
So while I do believe that Jonah did not meet affected person status, I too think the commission is considering both the hearing request and the application for a new TIPD's permit in Williamson County. And I would like a more detailed update following the one-year abatement. Applicant indicated that the abatement was necessary to address issues related to the owner of the property where the proposed wastewater treatment plant will be located, entering into Chapter 7 involuntary bankruptcy. But the recent briefings did not update the commission on the status of the bankruptcy, current ownership of the property, and whether any changes to the application are necessary. So therefore, I too would like to continue it and get additional briefing on these issues.
Thank you. I agree with both of you. I move that we continue item number 3. Excuse me. I move that we continue this matter to the Commission's September 23rd, 2026 agenda and direct General Counsel to request briefing from the applicant, hearing requester, Executive Director, and the Office of Public Interest Counsel regarding the status of bankruptcy proceedings that form the basis of the request for abatement, current ownership of the property on which the proposed facility is to be located, and whether the current status of the property ownership impacts the technical review of the application. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have 2 seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. The motion passes.
Item number 4 is the consideration of the petition for the creation of the Brazos River Improvement District. The parties have been notified that the commissioners will not take oral argument but may ask questions, and those who have signed in will be noted for the record.
Item 4 involves a municipal management district creation petition with a significant number of hearing requests, including a mass petition filing. For district creation matters, the commission must determine the effectiveness of hearing requesters under the rules in 30 TAC, Chapter 55, Subchapter G. I believe that 5 property owners within a quarter mile of the proposed district presented relevant concerns and described potential effects in sufficient detail to demonstrate effectiveness. As such, I would grant the hearing request of Jeanette Snow, Zachary and Kaylin Philippe, and John and Karen Irwin, all of whom own property within a quarter mile of the proposed district's boundaries. I would deny the individual hearing requesters who are located more than a quarter mile from the proposed district. In my view, these requesters are located too far away from the district's boundary to be impacted by the project in a way that is uncommon to the members of the general public. I also believe that the form hearing requests submitted by the majority of hearing requesters do not contain sufficient detail about individual affectedness to afford the signatories to allow the commission to grant the request. I would deny all of these requests. I also do not believe that Senator Colcourt's letter filed after the hearing request period can support a hearing request. Finally, although not strictly required, I'd recommend setting a hearing duration of 180 days from the date of the preliminary hearing until the proposal for decision is issued. I'll stop here. Katerina, your thoughts?
I'm in agreement.
I'm in agreement.
All right, do I have a motion?
I move that we grant the hearing requests of Jeanette Snow, Zachary and Kaylin Philippi, and John and Karen Irwin. Deny all remaining hearing requests, refer the matter to SOA for a contested case hearing on the petition, and set a hearing duration of 180 days from the date of the preliminary hearing until the proposal for decision is issued.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The motion passes. We will move on to number 5.
Item number 5 is the consideration of a resolution to appoint 3 nominees to serve on the Irrigator Advisory Council and to fill 1 member's incomplete term. The Executive Director's staff is here to present this item.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. For the record, I'm Joseph Hopkins, team leader of the Technical Programs team with the Program Support and Environmental Assistance Division in the Office of Compliance and Enforcement. With me today is Melissa Keller, Deputy Director of the Program Support and Environmental Assistance Division, and Allie Swallow, Staff Attorney with the Environmental Law Division. We are here today to request an appointment of 4 members to the agency's Irrigator Advisory Council. If approved, 3 of these recommended appointees will receive 6-year terms that will expire on February 1st, 2033. The 4th member will replace a member who has vacated their position with a term to expire on February 1st, 2031. The recommended full-term appointees are Mr. Keith Waldrop, irrigator from Bexar County, Mr. Nathan Riggs, irrigator from Bexar County, and Mr. Dewey Vu, public member from Dallas County. The recommended appointee to fill the vacated position is Ms. Jamie Richardson from Travis County. Included in your backup materials are resumes for each of the recommended appointees describing their backgrounds and qualifications for their appointments. We are available to answer any questions you may have on this matter.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Mary, has anyone signed in on this item?
No one is signed in.
All right. OPIC?
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Executive Directors, attorneys, and staff. For the record, I'm Jessica Anderson on behalf of the Office of Public Interest Counsel. OPIC has reviewed this request for approval for the appointment of members to the Irrigator Advisory Council and respectfully recommends approval. The Irrigator nominees have a combination of professional experience, industry knowledge, subject matter expertise, experience with the Council, and a diverse geographical representation. Public member nominees demonstrate relevant experience in local government and water system operations. OPIC notes that the public will be well served by the well-rounded and expert advice provided to the Commission by members of the Council on matters related to irrigation. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for OPIC? I've reviewed the ED's recommendation and ready to move forward with the recommended appointees. I'd like to thank Keith Waldrop, Nathan Riggs, Duvee, and Jamie Richardson for their willingness to serve on the Advisory Council, and I'd like to thank all the current members of the Advisory Council for their service to the state and to the agency. Colleagues?
Yes, I appreciate all of their volunteering to serve on this too, and I'm prepared to move forward too.
I'm in agreement with both of you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I move that we appoint the following individuals to serve on the Irrigator Advisory Council as recommended by the Executive Director. Keith Waldrop for a 6-year term to begin February 1st, 2027 and end on February 1st, 2033. Nathan Riggs for a 6-year term to begin February 1st, 2027 and end on February 1st, 2033. Du Vu for a term to begin February 1st, 2027 and end on February 1st, 2033. And Jamie Richardson for a term to begin on February 1st, 2027 and end on February 1st, 2029.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. The motion passes. Move on to the enforcement docket.
Actually, we have the chief auditor's items 6 and 7. Yeah.
All right. Item number 6 and 7.
So items 6 and 7 are the consideration for approval of the Chief Auditor's Office Fiscal Year 2027 Audit Plan and its July 2026 revision of the TCEQ Chief Auditor's Office Audit Charter. The Chief Auditor is here to present these items.
Morning, Chance.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Chairwoman Pop, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Gonzalez, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. I'm Chance Watson, Chief Auditor of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. I'm joined today by my Deputy Chief Auditor, Matt Milam, and Audit Work Lead, Ian Bowles. We're here today to present and ask approval of the Annual Risk Assessment, the FY 2027 Audit Plan, and the Audit Charter prepared by the Chief Auditor's Office. The mandate of the Chief Auditor's Office is the Texas Government Code 2102, commonly referred to as the Internal Audit Act. It requires the Chief Auditor of an agency prepare a risk-based plan annually. That plan is to be presented to and approved by the Commission. We face a variety of risks here at TCEQ, and our process is designed to identify risks facing the agency, develop a plan to address them. The Chief Auditor's Office staff conducted interviews with individuals charged with governance and selected TCEQ management and staff. We reviewed prior internal and external audit reports related to agency processes. We performed financial analysis related to TCEQ's funding and expenditures. We reviewed turnover and staffing by the office, and then used those attributes to risk rank concerns identified during the process in order to best allocate our existing resources to address higher risks. The audit plan presented describes the methods as well as our planned efforts to address risk identified during this process for FY 2027. I'd like to thank each of you for your input, as well as the Executive Director and her staff during this process.
Thank you, Chance. Mary, has anyone signed in on this item?
No one has signed in on 6 or on 7.
David?
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this working?
I can hear you, but I'm not sure it's on.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, General Counsel, Chief Auditor's Office, and staff. OPIC has reviewed the Chief Auditor's Office Risk Assessment and Audit Plan and the Charter and supports approval by the Commission. In developing this internal audit plan, the Chief Auditor engaged internal stakeholders and conducted a risk assessment to identify appropriate audit projects while retaining capacity on on-demand investigations. The Chief Auditor's Office's revised charter supports its approval. OPIC supports the Chief Auditor's Office's revised charter for approval by the Commission. OPIC notes that the primary impetus for these changes are to align the charter with recent changes to the global internal audit standards and with current organizational structure, management, and the agency's strategies and risk profile. The charter grants the Chief Auditor the independence necessary to enhance TCEQ's ability to serve the public interest while maintaining appropriate oversight of audit functions by the Commission. OPIC appreciates the opportunity to review and comment on the plan and charter and is available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for David?
No questions.
Thank you. Well, Chance Watson is our relatively new Chief Auditor. He has some experienced auditors on his staff, but he's also bringing in a lot of new faces. I'm excited to see how you how you handle this audit plan moving forward. And thank you to your staff for all the work that went into assembling the 2027 audit plan and revising the audit charter. I greatly appreciate the work that the Chief Auditor's Office does evaluating the areas of potential risk for the agency and audit work that you and your staff perform. We always strive for continuous improvement. These audits are critical for ensuring that we as an agency have processes in place, and those processes are followed as a safeguard as best we can from risk. And I truly appreciate all that you do to help everyone in this agency avoid potential problems through your audit engagements. Thank you, Chance. Thank y'all. Katerina?
Yes, our internal audit team plays an important role because they help to ensure that we meet our goals as an agency and identify areas where we can improve. So thank you to Chance and his team for their hard work and the proposed plan. I'm prepared to approve the audit plan and revised charter.
Commissioner Miller?
I'm in favor of approving the plan and the revised charter. Having a robust internal audit plan helps provide reassurance to our stakeholders that the agency is appropriately carrying out its responsibilities in support of our mission. The work done by the audit team is often behind the scenes and is often a position that doesn't get a lot of external appreciation. However, I want to thank Chance and his team, that I appreciate all that you do and the professionalism with which you do it. So thank you very much.
Well said. I move that we approve the TCEQ Chief Auditor's Office Fiscal Year 2027 Audit Plan and Revised Audit Charter as recommended by the Chief Auditor. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those
I
in
thought you
favor?
were having problems. Sorry, Commissioner. You can mark that down as Commissioner Gonzalez. Seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank y'all.
Thank you for your time.
All right, we'll move on to the enforcement docket.
Okay, that does bring us to the enforcement docket, which are items 8 through 45 and 47 through 55. Item 46 was remanded at the request of the ED last week. The Executive Director's staff is here to present these matters.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. For the record, my name is Megan Hamilton of the Enforcement Division, and with me today are Amy Sedemeyer, also of the Enforcement Division, and Gitanjali Yadav of the Litigation Division, representing the Executive Director. Pending before you are items 8 through 45 and 47 through 55. The total assessed administrative penalties are $2,139,444, with $301,481 deferred, $606,877 applied towards supplemental environmental projects, and $1,231,086 to the general revenue. We respectfully request approval of these items and are available to answer any questions y'all may have.
Thank you so much. Do we have anyone signed in on these items?
Yes, on items 10, 17, 20, 23, 24, 36, and 38, we have individuals who have indicated that they don't wish to speak unless the commission has questions, and their presence will be noted for the record. And then on item 32, we have a person signed in, Jesse Montez, who has requested to speak to the commission. We'll be limiting time or initial comments from each speaker to 3 minutes, and we'll extend time if the commission needs further discussion with the speaker. So with that, we will call Jesse Montez, and I believe they may be virtual.
Mr. Montez? Mr. Montez, are you online?
The chief clerk is letting me know that she was online, but now she is not online. It appears to have dropped off.
Let's give her 30 seconds to get back online as she chooses to address the board.
Okay, I see that she's back on, but it looks like she might be muted.
Ms. Montes, can you unmute?
Okay, looks like she's now unmuted, but we're not hearing anything through the webinar. Do you like to hear OPIC's comments, and then we can come back and see if Chief Clerk can help her with this problem?
That would be great. OPIC.
Good morning, Chairwoman Pop, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Gonzalez, General Counsel Smith, and Executive Directors, attorneys, and staff. My name is Eli Martinez. I'm with the Office of Public Interest Counsel for the record. OPIC has reviewed these proposed agreed orders between TCEQ and respondents and does not object to their approval. OPIC appreciates the efforts of the parties to resolve these matters and looks forward to fulfillment of the terms of the agreements in accordance with the schedules that were set forth therein. Should the Commission have questions concerning any particular item, OPIC would be happy to consider the matter further. Thank you. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Eli. I really would like Ms. Montes to be able to participate in this, so I'm going to take a 5-minute recess while we can try to figure out what's going on with her computer. Thank you. This meeting stands in recess. We will be back at 10:33. All right, ready?
She's up.
This meeting is back in order. The time is 10:34. Our chief clerk is here.
Yes, I have Jesse online, and so Jesse, if you could go ahead and speak.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I just was unable to unmute. It just wouldn't allow me to do it. So anyway, good morning, commissioners. My name is Jesse Montes. I'm the city manager. And I'm here regarding, apparently this is the one violation that we haven't remedied. And that is requiring us to transfer the construction and brush pile to the existing landfill pit. I want to state clearly that we have every intention to complete the transfer. However, it is not physically possible to complete that within 30 days. This pile has been accumulating for the last 18 to 20 years without violation. Based on the size of the pile and the work required, it would take approximately 6 months to dig and move it properly to move and properly place the material. The current landfill is also running out of room, which our ability to complete the transfer safely and properly is impossible. The city has purchased additional land and is currently in the process of obtaining the required permit for that area. Because of those circumstances, we are respectfully requesting additional time and a reasonable compliance schedule so that the work can be completed correctly in accordance with TCEQ requirements. We're asking the commission to consider granting us an extension of approximately 6 months, or to do the work with a timeline that TCEQ finds acceptable. We're willing to provide progress updates, photographs, and any documentation needed during this period. At this time, do y'all have any questions?
No, but I would like to ask my enforcement gals, how did you come about the 30-day?
Thank you, Chairwoman. For the record, my name is Amy Sotomayor, Deputy Director of the Enforcement Division. Okay, we're going to just take a step back there. The 30 days is our typical technical requirement timeframe for this type of violation. However, I will note this dates back to an investigation that occurred in 2024. So compliance efforts did start then and should have continued until today. However, we also have extensions available for respondents. We can work with them. We'll be checking in with them at the 30-day mark. If they indicate that they need more time, we can work with them to get those extensions in place. They will have to demonstrate that they are making efforts, and progress reports will likely be required.
That's great. Will you keep in contact with Mr. Montes and keep up with the status and see if they're meeting that 30-day and if an extension is necessary? Thank you. Commissioners?
I'm fine with you guys working with them on an extension if they can't get it done in 30 days.
Same.
Katarina?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt items 8 through 45 and 47 through 55 as recommended today by the Executive Director.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. The motion passes.
Item number 56 is the consideration of the monthly enforcement report, and the Executive Director's staff is here to present this matter.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. My name is Amy Sotomayor of the Enforcement Division, and with me are Megan Hamilton of the Enforcement Division and Gitanjali Yadav of the Litigation Division. We're here to present the monthly enforcement report for fiscal year 2026 through June. There were 1,436 effective administrative orders issued, and of those, 289 contained supplemental environmental projects. These orders assessed a total of $26,531,292 with a payable amount of $13,955,588.73. $9,031,062 are to be paid towards supplemental environmental projects. 14,703 notices of violation have been issued through either our field offices or review of self-reported data in our central office, and 1,118 enforcement action referrals have been received. There are 2,372 pending administrative orders, with 986 cases that are on the backlog. 155 cases are pending at the Attorney General's office for representation in district court, and 14 judgments have been issued. 1,835 cases are being tracked for compliance. We're available to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a recognition. I believe the Backlog Blitz is here in person. Would y'all stand up? These fearless warriors and team have made incredible progress on our backlog. We are an agency that strives for compliance first. They are enduring what we protect the state's natural resources and public health. I'm beyond proud of their work. I know that they had to take time away from their actual roles and probably from their personal lives and family to get this done for us. Thank you so much. You've done a tremendous job. Katarina?
Thanks to everyone for your work to continue to decrease those backlog orders. I see that there's 67 since the last report, and good job on all those supplemental environmental projects during the fiscal year. So,
Thank you all for your hard work on this effort, and we really appreciate it.
Your efforts are notable. Outside stakeholders are noticing that the backlog is going down. That's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for your work. And I think y'all are going to get together and have a party later. So I hope y'all have fun. No action is necessary on this item. So Mary, let's move on to item 57.
Item 57 is the consideration of a petition for rulemaking filed by Justin Lazo of Lazo Management LLC and Lube Express on behalf of a coalition of El Paso County emissions inspection station operators to amend fee provisions in 30 TAC Chapter 114. The petitioner, as the moving party, may present the matter and go first, followed by any interested persons, and then the ED. The petitioner may reserve time for rebuttal, and parties will be limited to 5 minutes each for their presentation. With that, I'll offer that anyone representing the petitioner may come forward. And make sure you turn the microphone on too. There'll be a green light if it's on.
Hello.
There you go.
Yes. Ma'am, I'm not representing the petitioner. I'm here for Pit Stop Loop Centers. Fidela Kabachi, would that be?
That's fine.
That's fine.
We've got 3 people signed in. I didn't think any of them was the actual petitioner, but we can start with you.
Okay. Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, and Council. My name is Fidela Kabachi. I am the owner of the Pit Stop Loop Centers, which operates 2 emissions inspection stations in El Paso County. Together, my stores perform approximately 9,600 OBD emissions yearly. I employ also 10 people, and I am not affiliated with the lead petitioner. Lazo Management is a competitor of mine. I write in support of the petition in this docket because the issue affects every inspection station in El Paso County. And I respectfully urge the Commission to reject the Executive Director's recommendation of denial and grant the petition. The executive director reasons that a growing number of licensed stations shows the $11.50 fee as adequate. My 2 stores are part of that count, and I can tell the commission what the count actually means is we perform this state-required inspection at a loss because it brings customers in the door for other services. Between inspector labor, bay time, equipment, and inspection, it actually is costing me $28 per inspection to run every car through my shop. The commission's own 2024 fee analysis reached the same conclusion, finding El Paso break-even levels beginning at around $27, and that was in 2024. We're now 2 years down the road. And since safety inspections ended on January 1st, 2025, the revenue that used to help carry my inspection bays is gone. Every station count figure in the staff memorandum comes from before that date. In 2024, the commission proposed raising the El Paso County fee to $18.50 and took public comment on a fee of up to $28.50. The proposal was never adopted. Meanwhile, Bexar County was set at $18.50 before they even did their first inspection there. And Dallas and Houston are also allowed to do inspections at $18.50. And it's the exact same test we're running. We're all running the same test. We're probably using all the same machines also. There is no cost-based reason El Paso should be treated differently, and waiting for stations like mine to stop inspecting before acting would only hurt El Paso families who are required to get these inspections. I respectfully urge the commission to grant the petition and initiate rulemaking to bring El Paso County to at least $18.50. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Honorable Chairwoman, Commissioner, and Council. As a message from the El Paso emissions testing community, we want to thank you all for assuring that our environment is protected from all kinds of contaminants, and also with the provision of us to bring forward to you this petition. For the record, I am Cesar Porras, Field Service Technician and Sales Associate in El Paso area, and Senior National Technical Assistant Support for Worldwide, one of the certified companies for the emissions testing. In all the researches made previously, 80% of the pollution in the ambient is directly to the mobile sources, the automobiles. And El Paso is not the exception. Being across the border from Mexico, we have also the impact of the environmental contamination to Twin Cities. El Paso County emissions testing is struggling due to the cost of maintaining actual standards of the demanding technology and cost of operation. There is no supply in the industry and in the businesses that can be outside of this impact. We have recently received impacts in cost of increasing even in the Texas Information Management System, the Gordon Darby, by 18%. We have the impact that it's a requirement for a static IP address for every state inspection that is costing the inspection stations between 50 to 120, 135, depending on the network company that the station it's connected. And it is impacted also because of the cost of the equipment, the cost of repairs that this equipment requires. Also, we have seen and we are approaching another impact to the automobile, to this type of businesses because of technology. You know that for newer vehicles starting to 2026, they have a new protocol for OBD connection, and this is going to impact also our customers. Why? It's technology that is coming, and we need to be updated for these vehicles to be tested on the emissions. Some of this equipment may require just a simple firmware update on their modules, but other older ones may require a replacement of expensive parts. Some of those expenses will be around $2,400 for getting the equipment updated. And the stations have already started to close because it's not worth it for them to be operable. Sometimes I have units that are not even, they're willing to spend the cost of a toner and just to, they're stopping to get the emissions testing done because if they had 2 units in the past, now they only have 1 unit, and it's diminishing the potential, the customer approach for them as well. In areas of new development, we see it as the same as it is in every part of Texas with the growing and expanding and the economic progress that we have. We have new areas in development, but no stations are open in that areas because the companies that wants to invest, customers that want to invest, they see what the benefit will be for them to invest in equipment and invest in getting these services offered to the public. So whenever they present to invest, this is all kinds of equipment, requirements for have a dedicated bay, insurances, preparing personnel technically, and getting it certified. It gets into a point that they feel that it's not profitable for getting only $1,150 for such an investment. We have areas, last year, between 2025 and...
That's time. I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Thank you. We'll see that areas stations are getting closed, and some of them are not even offering complete services. We support the increase of the test because of 2 things. One is, on one side, we see the need of the customers, of the people to get their vehicles tested, and they're not able to reach enough stations close to them to get it done. And the other side, we see the frustration of the investors to come up with the requirements and the necessary things. That's why we support that the price will have to be raised accordingly, and also
That's 30 seconds.
To be treated at the same level as other counties. I'm sorry for taking more time. That's all I can say. If there's any comments or questions, I'll be more than glad to answer any. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have Carlos Lazo, who I believe is online.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Wonderful. Good morning, Chairwoman and Commissioners. My name is Carlos Lazo. I'm the co-founder and co-owner at Lazo Management, along with my brother Justin, who is the lead petitioner in this docket. Together, we operate 14 Lube Express locations across El Paso County with 108 employees. And I'm speaking today for the Coalition of El Paso Inspection Station Operators who filed this petition. Thank you for letting me appear virtually. We respectfully ask that you reject the Executive Director's recommendation and grant this petition. You've heard from an independent operator and from the company that services the county's inspection equipment about what this business looks like from the inside. I'd like to focus on what your own agency has already concluded. In 2024, TCEQ commissioned the ERG fee study to answer one question. Does $11.50 cover the cost of an inspection in El Paso? The answer was no. Break-even starts at $27 on equipment costs alone, and the study recommended $24.50 to $28.50 statewide. That was not our study, it was yours. This commission acted on it once. In 2024, you proposed $18.50 for El Paso and took public comment on $28.50. It was never adopted. The staff memo before you today does not mention that proposal, and it does not explain what changed since then, except that costs rose and safety inspection revenue disappeared. Both of those make the case stronger, not weaker. Staff's answer is to watch the station count and act if it falls. That is a wait for harm standard. El Paso families lose inspection access first, and then the fee gets fixed second. Commissioners, across 14 stores, we perform about 60,000 inspections a year, and every one of them at exactly $11.50. And at today's cap, that is roughly $420,000 a year we absorb compared to the same stores in Dallas or San Antonio. For a motorist, what we are asking costs $7 once a year, the same as drivers in Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. So we ask three things in order. Grant the petition and initiate rulemaking. If not that, direct rulemaking limited to simple parity at $18.50, and at minimum, direct staff to address El Paso's fee in the biennial fee report, which we understand is due by the end of this year, on a defined schedule, not deferred indefinitely. We are asking you put a date on it. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lazo.
That's all that we have signed in, so we could go to the ED.
ED?
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. On behalf of the Executive Director, I am David Sarens with the Air Quality Division. With me are Terry Salem and Contessa Gay with the Office of Legal Services. The petition for rulemaking before you today was submitted by Justin Lazo of Lazo Management, LLC, on behalf of a coalition of El Paso County Vehicle Emissions Inspection Station operators on June 29, 2026. The petitioner is requesting a rulemaking in 30 Texas Administrative Code sections 114.53 and 114.87, or any related provisions to increase the maximum fee for emissions inspections in El Paso County from the current amount of $11.50 to at least $18.50 to align with the maximum fee that can be collected by inspection stations in other counties in the state. The petitioner is also requesting the Commission to take public comment on setting the fee up to $28.50 per inspection, consistent with the recommendation in the 2024 Test Fee Analysis Report commissioned by TCEQ. The Executive Director recommends denial of the petition, but intends to continue to evaluate the issue as additional data is available. Thank you for your consideration. We are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Carlos Lazo has 1 minute and 57 seconds remaining. Should he choose to use it?
Chairwoman, thank you for that. I think unless there's any specific questions, really, I'd just like to echo what you heard from a local competitor and also the company that services our machines, but really just to reiterate what they're saying and hope that there is the consideration as this is continuing to become difficult to subsidize this state program. But really, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comments. First, I'd like to begin by acknowledging Mr. Lazo and the Coalition of El Paso Inspection Station Owners and Operators for bringing this petition forward for rulemaking. I'd love to see what my commissioners think on this item. Katarina?
It's difficult. I'm sympathetic to the petitioners, but after reviewing the petition exhibits and responses, I would deny the petition for rulemaking. I think a rulemaking would be premature at this point, given the forthcoming 2026 IMP analysis report. In addition, the ED noted that there's data support continued program viability, and I look forward to the report, and I would like the ED to closely monitor the results.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller?
I too would deny the petition at this time. Program staff are finalizing the 2026 IMP analysis report and expect to post it publicly very soon. The report will provide updated information concerning station counts, costs, and revenue, and should offer additional insight into the initial impact of the January 2025 elimination of safety inspections on the IM program. Because the forthcoming report will provide updated information relevant to the Commission's evaluation of the adequacy of the inspection fees, we can reasonably conclude that considering the 2026 report before initiating a rulemaking is appropriate, and that instituting the rulemaking at this time would be premature.
Thank you, Commissioners. While I recognize the petitioner's efforts and the concerns raised, I don't believe that the requested rulemaking is necessary at this time. As the ED noted, the number of inspection stations has continued to increase in El Paso County since 2018, providing some evidence of the continued participation in and availability of the inspection network. I also agree with the ED that we should continue to monitor to further evaluate the program's viability. I would deny the petition for rulemaking. Do we have a motion?
I move that we deny the petition for rulemaking filed by Justin Lazo on behalf of a coalition of El Paso County emissions inspection station operators concerning amendments to 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 114, for the reasons stated in the Executive Director's response memorandum, and that we issue the Executive Director's proposed order.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. And we'll move on to items 58, 59.
Items 58 and 59 are the consideration of the adoption of amendments to 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 114, and corresponding revisions to the state implementation plan. The Executive Director's staff is here to present this item.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. On behalf of the Executive Director, I am Stephen Cruz. A little closer. Excuse me, I'll start over. Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. On behalf of the Executive Director, I'm Stephen Cruz with the Air Quality Division. With me is Christopher Moreno with the Air Quality Division, as well as Terry Salem and Contessa Gay with the Office of Legal Services. For your consideration today is item 58, the Executive Director's revisions to 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 114, Control of Air Pollution from Motor Vehicles. Also for your consideration today is item 59, the Executive Director's Vehicle Inspection and Maintenance, or INM State Implementation Plan, or SIP revision. This rule and SIP revision will fully implement the statutory requirements added by Senate Bill 2102, the 88th Texas Legislature 2023 regular session, and consolidated by Senate Bill 1729, 89th Texas Legislature 2025 regular session. The rule and associated SIP revision will assess emissions inspection fees for rental vehicles at the time of initial registration to comply with the statutory requirement to provide the same revenue that would be provided if the vehicle was inspected annually or biennially. The rulemaking does not change any fee amounts in 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 114. Staff respectfully requests permission to publish the adopted rule and SIP revision. Additionally, staff request authorization to make non-substantive revisions necessary to comply with Texas Register requirements. Thank you for your consideration. We're available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Mary, has anyone signed in on this item?
No one has signed in on 58 or 59.
OPIC?
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Executive Directors, Attorney, and staff. For the record, I'm Michael McCarthy on behalf of OPIC. We have reviewed these items and support Commission adoption of the rulemaking and associated SIP revision. We understand there were no significant changes from the proposal. The adopted provisions implement the legislature's direction for new rental vehicles while maintaining revenue neutrality and preserving the existing inspection maintenance program. We therefore support adoption of both items. We appreciate the opportunity to comment on this rulemaking and are happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This rulemaking fully implements Senate Bills 2102 and 1729. I appreciate staff's work on amending these rules to implement this legislation. I've reviewed the revisions to Chapter 114 and the corresponding SIP revision and would move forward with the adoption of both of these items. Colleagues?
I agree. This is a straightforward implementation. There have been no changes since proposal, and so I would also approve that.
In agreement.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt the amendments to 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 114, Control of Air Pollution from Motor Vehicles, and corresponding revisions to the state implementation plan as recommended by the Executive Director.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The motion passes.
Okay, items 60 through 63 are for closed session, but the commission will not be meeting in closed session today.
All right. There being no further business before the commission, this agenda stands adjourned. The time is 11:06 a.m. Thank y'all.